We're ready, sir.
Okay, thank you. Township Parsippany-Troy Hills Regular Township Council Meeting, August 16, 2011. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law by filing a notice in the Office of Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 15, 2010, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in both the Daily Record and the Star Ledger and was forwarded by fax to other local newspapers and local radio stations on December 16, 2010. Note, council meetings are videotaped and aired on Cablevision Public Access Channel 21 at 2 p.m. on Sundays and are also available on the township website, www.parsippany.net. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cicero?
Here.
Mr. DiPiero?
Here.
Mr. Farrar is absent. Mr. Stanton?
Here.
Council President Fox?
Here. Also present are our illustrious Mayor, Jamie Barbario, Jasmine Lynn, our Business Administrator, John Inglesino, our Township Attorney, and Alicia Johnson, our Township Clerk. Would you please rise for the flag salute? Councilman DePiero.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, upcoming meetings, 9/13, 11, 7:30 p.m., an agenda meeting, public's invited, public participation. September the 20th, 2011, 7:30 p.m., regular meeting, public invited, public participation. Bids to be taken, none. Requests for quotations, proposals, or qualifications, none. We have some ordinances to read, and Councilman DePiero, would you do number one, please?
Ordinance 2011:017, an ordinance of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, to amend and supplement the Township Code, Chapter 329, entitled Sewer, Section 329-14, entitled Sewer Connection Fees, and Chapter 420, entitled Water, Section 420-13, entitled Water Connection Fees, for the purpose of establishing fees for the year 2011. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 16, 2011, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 20, 2011, at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance, with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Mr. Cicero?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Sorry.
Mr. DiPiero?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Council President Fox?
Yes. Ordinance number two, Councilman Stanton.
Ordinance number 2011:018. Ordinance amended Section 285-4, Schedule A. No parking fire zones, Article 1, Chapter 285. Parking Code of the Township Parsippany-Troy Hills to establish fire zones, regulate parking at Courtyard by Marriott, 3769 Route 46, Block 136, Lot 70. Be it resolved the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, passed on reading, first meet at the meeting Township Council, Township Parsippany-Troy Hills, held August 16, 2011. And said ordinance be further considered for second read and final passage at meeting to be held on September 20th, 2011, 7:30 p.m. prevailing time or soon thereafter, as matter be resolved at the municipal building in said township, which time all persons interested shall be given opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved, clerk be authorized, directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Mr. DiPiero?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Yes. All right, ordinance number 2011:16. The foregoing ordinance was published in its entirety in the Daily Record, the official newspaper
Council
of the
President.
Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills.
Council President, excuse me. You just skipped ordinance on introduction 2011:19.
Right.
That's, may I, Mr. Fox?
Sure.
May I? Thank you,
I'm sorry,
Mr.
did I
Fox.
cut you off?
No, I didn't even start. Don't worry, Mr. Fox. Thank you, Mr. President. August 16, 2011, ordinance number 2011:019, an ordinance amending Section 285-4, Schedule A, no parking fire zones of Article 1 of Chapter 285, parking of the Code of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills to establish fire zones and regulate parking at 5 Eastman's Road LLC, 5 Eastman's Road, Block 739, Lot 4. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading in a meeting of Township Council of Township Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 16, 2011. That said ordinance be further considered for second reading on final passage. A meeting be held on September 20, 2011 at 7:30 p.m. Prevailing time or soon thereafter, as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Yes. Sorry, Joe. Ordinance number 2011:16. The foregoing ordinance was published in its entirety in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on July the 26th, 2011. Be it resolved that an ordinance entitled amending Section 285-4, Section Schedule A, no parking fire zones of Article 1 of Chapter 285, parking of the Code of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills to establish fire zones and regulate parking at 260 Walsh Drive, Block 136, Lot 36, to be read in title only on a second reading and a hearing held thereon. This ordinance has to be opened up to the public for any comments, and it's open now. Anybody wishing to make any comments on this ordinance, please approach the microphone. Yes, sir.
Wasn't me.
Who's second? Mike?
Mr. DePiero?
Mr. DePiero. Seeing no one rise, I close the public hearing. An ordinance amending Section 285-4, Schedule A, no parking fire zones of Article 1 of Chapter 285, parking of the Code of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills to establish fire zones and regulate parking at 260 Walsh Drive, Block 136, Lot 36. Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and a hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved that said ordinance be passed on final reading and that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Yes. We have some add-ons, Mike? We have two add-ons.
No, if we go to public hearing then.
You want to go to the public hearing? All right, the meeting is now open for the public to comment on anything they wish.
Sorry.
Anybody wishing to comment, please approach the microphone.
Yeah, I don't think Brian needs to do it there. No, I'm sorry.
Seeing no one rise, I close the public portion of the meeting. Go ahead, Mike.
Consent agenda's next.
Consent agenda.
Me.
Go ahead.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. So moved.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Okay, we have, I'd like a motion to add two items to our agenda. One is a resolution authorizing the insertion of a special item of revenue into the FY 2011 budget, and the other is the anniversary of September 11th. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
President Fox?
Yes.
Okay. First, resolution authorizing the insertion of a special item of revenue into the fiscal year 2011 budget. Whereas NJSA 48:4-87 provides that the Director of Division of Local Government Services may approve the insertion of any special item of revenue in the budget of any municipality when such item shall have been made available by law and the amount thereof was not determined at the time of the adoption of the budget. And whereas said Director may also approve the insertion of any item of appropriation for equal amount, now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills hereby request the Director of the Division of Local Government Services to approve the insertion of an item of revenue in the current fund budget of the year 2011 in the sum of $26,900, which item is now available as a revenue from the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation safe route to school. Be it further resolved that a like sum of $26,900 and the same is hereby appropriated in the current fund budget under the caption of State of New Jersey Department of Transportation, safe route to school. So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
President Fox?
Yes. The second resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills joining the National Moment of Remembrance of the 10th anniversary of September the 11th. Whereas the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills expresses their support of the United States Senate's regarding coming together as a nation and ceasing all work or other activity for a moment of remembrance beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September the 11th, 2011, in honor of the 10th anniversary of the terrorist attacks committed against the United States on September the 11th, 2001. And whereas at 8:46 a.m. on September the 11th, 2001, hijacked American flight number 11 crashed into the upper portion of the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. And whereas 17 minutes later at 9:03 a.m., hijacked United Airlines Flight 175 crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. And whereas at 9:37 a.m., the west wall of the Pentagon was hit by hijacked American Airlines Flight 77, the impact of which caused immediate and catastrophic damage to the headquarters of the Department of Defense. And whereas at approximately 10 a.m., the passengers and crews of hijacked United Airlines Flight 93 acted heroically to take control of an airplane and thwart the taking of American lives by crashing the airliner in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and in doing so gave their lives to save countless others. And whereas nearly 3,000 innocent civilians were killed in the heinous attack of September 11, and whereas tens of thousands of individuals narrowly escaped the attack at the Pentagon and the World Trade Center, and as witness to this tragedy are forever changed. And whereas countless fire departments, police departments, first responders, government officials, workers, emergency medical personnel, volunteers responded immediately and heroically to those horrific events. And whereas the fire department of New York suffered 343 fatalities on September the 11th, 2001, the largest loss of life of any emergency response agency in the United States. And whereas the Port Authority Police Department suffered 37 fatalities in the attack, the largest loss of any police force in the United States in a single day. And whereas the New York City Police Department suffered 23 fatalities as a result of the terrorist attacks. And whereas the impact of that day on public health continues through 2011, as nearly 90,000 people are at risk for or suffering from negative health effects as a result of the events of September the 11th, 2001, including 14,000 workers and 2,400 community residents who are sick and tens of thousands of others whose health is being monitored. And whereas 10 years later, the people of the United States and the people of the world continue to mourn the tremendous loss of innocent life on that fateful day. And whereas 10 years later, thousands of men and women in the United States Armed Forces remain in harm's way, defending the United States against those who seek to threaten the United States. And whereas on the 10th anniversary of this tragic day, the thoughts of the people of the United States are with the victims of the events of September the 11th, 2001, and their families. Whereas the lives of Americans were changed forever on September the 11th, 2001, when events threatened the American way of life. And whereas on 2009, Congress and the President joined together to designate September the 11th as a National Day of Service and Remembrance under the Serve America Act, Public Law 111-13, 123, Stat 1460, and whereas in September 2009 and 2010, President Obama issued Proclamation 8413 and Proclamation 8559, proclaiming September the 11th, 2009 and September the 11th, 2010, respectively, as Patriots' Day and National Day of Service and Remembrance. And whereas September the 11th will never and should never be just another day in the hearts and minds of all people of the United States, now therefore be it resolved, the Township Council, the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, and that Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, number 1, recognizes September the 11th, 2011 as a day of solemn commemoration of the events of September the 11th, 2001, and we're a day to come together as a nation and offer its deepest and most sincere condolences to the families and friends of the loved ones and innocent victims of September the 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. And whereas 3, honors the heroic service, actions, and sacrifices of first responders, law enforcement personnel, state and local officials, volunteers, countless others who aided the innocent victims of those attacks, and in doing so bravely risked and often gave their own lives. 4, and recognizes the valiant service, actions, and sacrifices of the United States personnel, including members of the United States Armed Forces, the United States Intelligence Agencies, the United States Diplomatic Service, Homeland Security, and law enforcement personnel and their families who have given so much, including their lives and well-being, to support the cause of freedom and defend the security of the United States. Number 5, reaffirms that the people of the United States will never forget the challenges our country endured on and since September the 11th, 2001, and will work tirelessly to defeat those who attack the United States. And be it further resolved that the 10th anniversary of this tragic day in United States history, the Township Council of the Parsippany-Troy Hills calls upon all people and institutions of the United States to observe a moment of remembrance on September the 11th, 2011, including media outlets, houses of worship, military organizations, veterans organizations, airlines, airports, railroads, sports teams, the federal government, state and local governments, police, fire, other public institutions, educational institutions, businesses, and other public and private institutions. And be it further resolved that the township encourages the observance of the moment of remembrance to last for 1 minute, beginning at 1 p.m. on Eastern Daylight Time, to the maximum extent practical, ceasing all work or other activity and making the moment in an appropriate manner, ringing of bells, blowing of whistles, or sounding of sirens.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Cicero?
Yes.
Piero?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
President Fox?
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can I, if I may, read into record, Council President, issues that are regarding
Withdraw mine.
I'm sorry, John.
No, withdraw my motion.
The DEP issuing permits for the incinerator. I'd like to read something into the record, if I
Go
may.
right ahead, Mayor.
I want to respond to the irresponsible statements that have been made relative to the town's incinerator project, specifically statements that have been made to the effect that the NJDEP does not issue permits for incinerators and that our incinerator project would be harmful to the environment. That would be false. Case in point, well, first of all, I got an email today, and I'm responding to the email as well. And I like to read these things into record because I like to have the facts set straight. A member of the public recently questioned the council as to whether the township has appropriately considered the effects of incineration on the health and safety of the public and the environment. In this regard, the member of the public made a blanket statement to the effect that the NJDEP is no longer issuing permits for incinerators, and further opined that the reason that the NJDEP is no longer issuing such permits is due to the effects that incinerators may have on the public's health, safety, and welfare. As a preliminary matter, the statement that the NJDEP is no longer issuing permits for incinerators is flat out wrong. There are both state and federal regulations that allow for the installation of incinerators. Permits are being granted for both new incinerators as well as retrofits and upgrades to existing incinerators that don't meet current standards. While it can't be said that the NJDEP is no longer issuing permits, it can be said that the number of incinerator permits granted is limited. Due to the extreme stringent state and federal regulatory standards for incinerator emissions, it is not an easy permit to secure, nor is it a simple process. The state standards currently being implemented by the NJDEP are risk-based standards. Essentially, the incinerators must not pose any risk to the environment or health and welfare of the public, period. The state permitting process is extremely stringent, costly, and time-consuming. If the project does prove to pose a risk to the public health, safety, or welfare of the environment in general, the permit will not be issued. On top of the stringent state requirements are the federal regulations and standards, which are technology-based. These technology-based standards require the emissions to be ratcheted down even further below the already stringent state standards. The technology being implemented by Synagro, and this is important, is fluidized bed incineration, meets most of the stringent state and federal standards, and is the preferred means of providing incineration by the NJDEP and the U.S. EPA. The fact Synagro is proposing a new incinerator rather than trying to retrofit the old is even more of a benefit from an environmental perspective. If they opted to go with a retrofit one or both of the existing incinerators, they would be able to avail themselves of less stringent standards that apply to existing incinerators. Finally, it should be noted that the townships, its professionals, and Synagro sat down with the NJDEP officials more than a year and a half ago to discuss this project. The project was well received by the NJDEP. The bottom line is that the federal and state statutes and regulations related to the incinerators and emissions, therefore, are extremely onerous and stringent.
The permitting process is extremely involved, costly, and time-consuming. As we reported to the public, one of the major benefits with respect to this project is that risk associated with timing and cost of permitting process, not to mention the entire project, in this regard, do not lie with the township, but fall squarely on the shoulders of Synagro. They are bearing all the cost and the risk associated with permitting the process. They have to hire all the consultants, and they have to address all the state and federal requirements. If they are not able to satisfy the stringent state and federal standards designed to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public and the environment, their permit will be denied, and the project does not go forward. And the reason why I'm stating that is because it's going to probably become an issue over the next several months. And I just want the facts to be,
You mean during election season?
I just want the facts to be set straight. I got several emails today, and you're going to get them forwarded to you as well. We've done our due diligence, started back in 2009 when I wasn't mayor. And we're moving forward, and it's on a positive note. But believe me when I tell you, this is a stringent process, and we're going to stick with it. And if it's not up to us, it's up to the NJDEP, and it's up to the USD EPA. So I just want to let you know where we stand right now.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
I re-raise my motion to adjourn.
We have a second?
Second.
Time, 7:50 PM.
Madam Clerk, do you want to do roll call?
I'll send it to
Do
you.
you want to do roll
Oh,
call?
yeah, roll call.
Madam
please.
Clerk?
Sure. Just wanted to make sure you're finished. Mrs. Cicero?
Yes.
Mrs. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
President Fox?
Yes.
This meeting is hereby adjourned.
We already got that.